America likes to call itself the land of opportunity. But there's a quieter system running underneath the surface, one that shifts billions from ordinary taxpayers into the bank accounts of major corporations and into the silk-lined pockets of the wealthy. Today, we're breaking down how the US subsidizes low wages, how much it costs, where the money actually ends up, and why this model leaves many Americans paying more tax so companies can keep their profits sky high. This isn't about ideology, it's about the numbers, and the numbers paint a very clear and very uncomfortable picture. In the US, tens of millions of workers earn wages so low that they qualify for government assistance. These aren't teenagers flipping burgers for pocket money. Half of all low-wage workers in America are over 35, many have kids, many work full-time, and many hold multiple jobs just to keep the lights on. No one wants to have several jobs, they do it so their families can survive. A low hourly wage just means you have to work more hours. Programs like SNAP, Medicaid, the Earned Income Tax Credit, and housing vouchers fill the gap between what employers pay and what workers need to survive. That gap isn't accidental, it's structural, because for over 40 years, wages for the bottom half of Americans have barely moved when you adjust for inflation. Productivity has gone up. Corporate profits have gone up. Executive pay has gone way up. But paychecks for the median worker? Flat. When wages stagnate, welfare spending rises. And when welfare spending rises, taxpayers pick up the tab. Meanwhile, corporate labour costs stay artificially low, because the government is effectively topping up pay behind the scenes. The end result? The government, meaning taxpayers, is footing part of the wage bill for America's largest employers. It's a subsidy, not by name, not by headline, but by outcome. Let's put hard numbers on it. Each year, US taxpayers shell out about $300 billion supporting working households because their employers don't pay enough for them to live on. That's right, $300 billion. With a B, every year. Quietly, automatically, and often unnoticed. This money covers things like food assistance, healthcare, rent support, tax credits for low-income working families. Not to reward laziness, but to compensate for the shortfall between wages and the cost of being alive in the United States. Now let's break down who pays for those billions. Lower-income taxpayers cover around 25 to 30% of that welfare cost. Middle-income taxpayers, the people earning $40,000 to $70,000 a year, cover another 40 to 45%. The top earners, who own nearly 90% of the nation's wealth, contribute only 25 to 35%. So in plain English, the bottom 80% of Americans pay the majority of the subsidy that keeps wages low at America's biggest corporations. This isn't a vague complaint, it's a gigantic, documented transfer of money, tax money flowing upward, from ordinary workers to shareholders in multi-billion-dollar companies. Now, here's the uncomfortable twist, the part people rarely talk about. Only 5 to 10% of that taxpayer support ends up directly benefiting workers, the very people it's supposed to help. Another 5 to 10% trickles to suppliers and customers through slightly lower prices. But the big chunk, around 70% of the benefit, lands with shareholders, executives, and corporate owners. How does that happen? Imagine a company paying wages that are too low for workers to live on. Workers qualify for SNAP and Medicaid, which reduces the pressure on the employer to offer higher pay. The company's labour costs stay low, profit margins stay high. Those profits get passed on as higher dividends, larger share buybacks, bigger stock-based executive compensation packages. This is not accidental, it's an economic pipeline that quietly moves money upward. Taxpayers, especially lower and middle-income earners, are effectively subsidising corporate profits. In any other industry, we'd call it what it is, a wealth transfer, and it's not a small one. It's a $300 billion annual boost to corporate margins. That is one of the largest hidden subsidies in the entire US economy. Let's put a face to the numbers. Walmart is the most studied example because of its sheer size. Over 1.6 million US employees and some of the lowest wages in major retail. Estimated annual taxpayer support for Walmart employees ranges from $2 to $3 billion per year. This benefit reduces Walmart's effective labour cost, which in turn inflates profits. Lower wage bill, higher margin, higher shareholder returns. And then there's the Walton family, the owners of Walmart, whose combined wealth exceeds $200 billion. So yes, the US tax system is helping one of the richest families on the planet keep labour costs down and that family richer. But Walmart is just one example. Scale this across the entire low-wage sector: retail, fast food, hospitality, home health, warehouse work, and you get the nationwide number. Now, is America unique? Not entirely, but it is the poster child of this model. Countries like Germany, France, the Netherlands, and the Scandinavian nations all have higher minimum wages, stronger worker protections, smaller low-wage sectors, less reliance on in-work benefits. They still support citizens with social programs, of course. But those systems don't quietly prop up corporate wage structures on the same scale. In most developed nations, companies pay wages that at least roughly match living costs. In the US, wages have been allowed to lag so far behind that the government, and therefore the taxpayer, steps in to bridge the gap. Companies benefit from the gap being filled. Workers remain stuck inside it. So here's the simplest possible summary. Corporations keep wages low. Taxpayers fill the gap. Shareholders profit. Lower and middle-income Americans foot the bill. This isn't a conspiracy, it's a design flaw, a very profitable one. If the US raised wages to match the cost of living, taxpayers would save hundreds of billions, corporate profits would shrink slightly, and America's economic engine would finally start rewarding the people who actually keep it running. If you found this breakdown useful, please consider liking this video and subscribing to this channel. Hard numbers, no spin, clear explanations. See you in the next one.